max W and that kind of thing, like you maybe get away with it, but getting shoved in, it was a little bit tricky. But with static shiv, that just doesn't. It's not a thing anymore, right? It's not a thing anymore, and there it is. There you go. I'm sorry to say it, Jake. Your favorite champion, as much as she's very strong right now, which might make you happy, she's not going to get picked in this one. She's banned away from Ruddy's side. Now, first pick instead is going to be a Xayah from Ruddy Esports.
So I wanted to highlight this Xayah pick. Xayah has been rising in priority. Some other picks have been rising in priority as well as like, for example, Azir, who has something like a 74% win rate, which is ridiculous in major regions. But Xayah is the only pick right now, paired alongside maybe of Yuumi, Milio, who are banned. But Xayah is the only pick who's coming out like ahead against the Aphelios matchup, right? It's just the only champion that's really working. So first picking it when Aphelios open is typically the tech. I really hope they pick Nocturne here. I really like the Nocturne. They played it last week, and I really like it paired with some picks like Nico, for example, where you just hide the Nico ult coming out. But it does look like they might just go over to the Nautilus secure, maybe a flex or something like this. Rakan and Maokai coming in super standard. Maokai is really, really broken as well, right? He's a blind pick with something like a 60% win rate in major regions. It's just obscene.
Really strong there. They are going to lock in that Nautilus, though, for the side of that bot lane. Now thinking about what they're going to get taken to that mid lane here. We talked a little bit about the LeBlanc static shiv. Slightly weaker, but still very effective with it is the likes of the Ahri. You basically one-shot the wave, and then you just look to go elsewhere. That's basically the whole playstyle with this. So they're going to lock that in. If Omen takes the fleet footwork, then expect this to be the static shiv Ahri in the mid lane. The question is what is the answer going to be here from Ruddy now? Because they're going to be looking towards either picking up an AD carry or getting themselves a comfortable mid matchup. And then the whatever else is not picked up is probably just going to get target banned in this off phase. Ban phase. What was I saying?
Off phase.
Off phase.
That's all right. We're moving on to the on phase here. It looks like, I mean, I think the Ezreal lock-in is not too bad at all, honestly. Like the difficulty playing versus someone like a Nautilus with that point and click CC is if you don't have a way to kind of get yourself out of danger, maybe a little bit of self-peel, like it's just impossible to get away from a Nautilus, right? He's so disgusting in that regard, and Ezreal can keep himself safe. Also means this Rakan will have a bit of a liberty to move around the map if he wants to, doesn't have to just babysit that bot side too much, as can generally just take care of himself, and if you can win the rest of the map, then you set yourself up for success. Not surprised to see the junglers being banned away here, since you've already got your Maokai locked in for Ruddy, so now you really want to limit Indecision's champion pool. So the Vibe being taken away is really, really popular now as well. We saw that Nocturne hover, which is something which is quite unpopular in the major regions. Aside from China plays a decent amount of Nocturne, but China is also a little bit crazy when it comes to League of Legends, and so it is going to get taken away, and unfortunately we're not going to be seeing Indecision's Nocturne today.
I think they should take away Jace for the side of Nord. It does look like, okay, it's open. I want Ruddy to prioritize Jace here because you've got a really nice poke composition being set up here with the Maokai saplings into the poke with the Ezreal and the Jace, which is a really good counter into Xayah specifically because she hates being outranged, right? That's why Xayah Milio is such a good combo right now, because Milio covers that range weakness for Xayah. So I'm really surprised they didn't actually ban it, but these top lane bans, they indicate to me that a tank top is being preferred for the side of Nord. Maybe Kakos is going to go for his, either his Cassante or Poppy that he keeps playing. There it is. There's the Yasuo plus the Rakan plus the Maokai knockups.
Wow.
So MP carries Yasuo.
The Shenanigans going to lock in the Malphite here, and they're just going to go full Yasuo win condition. It is an option if you said they want a tank top lane. You could look to lock that in. I guess
Gragas
they want to see what top lane's up, though. Yeah, Gragas is up. I guess they're going to want to see what the top lane matchup is going to be, and then they can make a more informed decision based on what's going to get picked up. Going to first of all start off with the Wukong for the jungle. Now looking towards that Poppy in the top role. I really like this because when you got very highly mobile champions like the Rakan, the Yasuo, the Ezreal, that steadfast presence really hard shuts that down because you can't dash through that. So looking towards some additional options here for the side of Ruddy. We'll see what they actually look to hover in, or what they look to lock in on the top side, because they've been hovering a couple of different ideas, and it does look like they may be looking for some AP here, as they've got that AD mid, locking in the oh god, Mordekaiser. So there we go. Aragon, I saw that face though. A little bit of a sour face there. You don't like this?
Dude, look, okay, the reality is, I think Mord is a terrible champion, right? He's just an absolutely awful champion, and Poppy's a really good run out. There is an inherent counter pick here going on, right? Xian might see, oh, this is a great, we need AP. This is a great Mordekai's angle into a tank. I have a lot of targets, but the thing is, often Mord is just an awful champion, and it never works out how you want it to. That's the problem I have with it.
I actually kind of like the matchup of Mordekaiser into
It's
a
good.
tank top.
Yeah.
Because it's like he a lot of Mordekaiser's weaknesses, maybe from getting poked or something like that, are shielded when you're going up against a tank, right? And you can do a lot of your percentage health damage. You just like you have those sustained fights. Like he should be able to bully out Kakos pretty easily in that top lane. But it does then after the side lane presence, like what is your goal here? Because Poppy doesn't care if she's losing side lane, right? Poppy doesn't care if she's not like dominating lane or anything like that. Like it's not a big deal. She wants to play more towards her team and stuff like that. And does Mordekaiser really contribute to that in this team comp? He does seem a little bit out of position, and I'm just curious how Ruddy's going to kind of leverage the rest of their team comp to maybe try and get that Mordekaiser snowballing against Poppy and really shut Poppy down, and just have that massive gap in the top side when Mordekaiser becomes like this huge raid boss that no one on the side of Nord can deal with.
All right, boys, let's go through some predictions then and what we're expecting now we've seen that champ select. So, Aragon, first of all, I'll throw it to you. Who do you think's got this and why?
Nord has got this because I think their composition is way more well-rounded and makes more sense. I don't like some of the picks on the side of Ruddy.
And I'm going to be contrarian and say Ruddy because Aragon said Nord.
Very informed. I'll make sure that I'll open with you next time, Foxy, and then you can't
no.
You can't
I've been
just do
exposed.
that. That's what I do on the predictions. I just put what everyone else isn't putting and just see if I can go from there. I think we're in for a pretty good game. We had a little run through some of the games coming up today. This is definitely one of our title ones. Right now in the standings, both of these teams are 2-2. So it starts you going into week 3 with, putting that positive step forward. Ruddy, right now, the wind is in their sails. They lost those first 2 games of the season, won the next weeks. Leaning away from the kind of the wacky and the crazy element that we were seeing from them. The Master Yi angles, and I can't remember what the other jungler was. It was a Viego, which isn't actually completely crazy, but the Master Yi is pretty bonkers. Starting to lean a little bit more into actual playable comps. So I'm excited to see how this game goes down. I mean, it is, but you can laugh, but like Master Yi is not playable.
Playables, yeah. You really have to. He is quite selfish. You have to build a comp around him. Something that's going to be really interesting coming into like the story of this game is Ruddy and Nord, two of the better teams that we have in the NLC and in the last split as well. Both of these teams, like I think Ruddy was 11-3 and Nord was 12-2, right? And they both already have 2 losses under their belt, right? So if we're going by last split's trajectory, these guys really can't lose any more games, right? If they want to meet the expectations that we had of them already. So they're definitely off to a different start in this split. And now is that kind of turning point for these teams, right? You had your 2-0 week last week. You're on that roll. You got to keep that momentum going if you want to have a more dominant split like you did before.
Yeah, I think. Go on.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think going into this game, it just occurred to me. I think we're going to get a very bloody game around mid lane, right? You have a Yasuo mid lane, and it's really hard to play around Mordekaiser early because you have no real setup outside landing E, but Poppy's so small and quick that it's hard to land. So I think post 6 you can go top potentially, but mid lane is where it's going to be at because you have a Yasuo that's so gank susceptible. You need to cover it off with vision and saplings and stuff like this. You also have a roaming support with that Rakan. I really want to see both junglers and mids play the 2v2 and the 3v3 for including the support extremely well. You also have that really good gank setup at level 3 with the Wukong and the Ahri, the follow-up, which is super staple right now. So that's definitely where I'm looking at.
So what is Nord's game plan then? If we're expecting to see Ruddy, put as much attention into this mid side, what is the game plan for the side of Nord then? If they're going to try are they just going to keep Omen under tower and hope he doesn't get dove while they set up plays elsewhere? Or is it a matter of getting set up to help Omen and get that like turnaround gank in?
So early game, I think what you're going to want to do is you want to let Wukong power clear. That's really typical Wukong. You want him to get into Divine Sunder as soon as possible. And then if there's going to be any action very early game, it's going to be down in bot lane if a hook lands. That's the main one, but still doubtful if that'll transition to anything. Maybe a hook into a Blade Caller. But still, the junglers do want to full clear here.
Yeah, this is probably not going to be a... well, I was going to say not a fun game for the top laners. They're going to get ignored. But when is that not the case in League of Legends in season 13? Like no one pays attention to top lane when bot lane's this strong. Ex top lane pro here, Aragon knows all about being left on an island. I think you may have even chose a good time to step away from the competitive scene. You'd be even less attention being paid to you. I think there is some gang set up for Nords across the map, really, especially with that Nautilus. And Omen doesn't like that. He's missed a caddy early. So this is where it's pivoted now, right? We pivot now into the mental game. It doesn't matter anymore about the actual strategy. Omen's now tilted off the face of the earth. He's missed his first cannon minion. That is an inexcusable play.
Something to note as well is that Omen has taken Electrocute, which to me, and he's gone for a Doran's Ring start instead of that Longsword start. So it's not going to be that LeBlanc build where you take the static and just play to shove the wave and just move away into side lanes. This is a bit more of a traditional Ahri, so maybe the Everfrost, maybe just the traditional Ludens build, and kind of going from there. So interesting to see that's going to be the game plan. Maybe that's because Omen recognized if he plays that static style, he shoves the wave, and then he either has to push or roam, which means he could be caught out by the roams of Poo. Poo? How do we say his name again? I'm going to call him Poo.
Pui,
sure
Pui, I think it's Pui. That sounds a lot nicer. I want to go with Pui.
A little bit.
Oh my goodness.
Just a little bit.
Well, you're right on your prediction here, Aragon, about the early pathing with full clears coming through. Malco having that advantage. Honestly, those saplings and that Q jungle damage is really, really gross. Like, right, it's just completely elevated Maokai to some fierce beast in the jungle, and especially when it comes competitive, right? Like, this champion gives you so much that you want from a competitive standpoint. He's doing pretty well right here just to get that CS advantage, and even appeared on the top side of Indecision's jungle as it's respawned. He's taken away the wolf camp and is now looking for the Gromp as well, whereas Indecision is just walking back into that top side. This is actually a huge advantage right now for Zapdo. Like, really, really smart pathing. Got to the wolves as they spawned, got to the Gromp as they spawned, taken them both away. 2 camp swing right there. And Indecision, not only has he lost those 2 camps, but he has zero information about it. So he's completely just in the wrong place of the map right now. There's nothing for him to do. And if Zapdo does complete this recall and doesn't get it interrupted, he's going to have such a huge advantage. He is going to go back into base right here, get that tier 2 boots, start moving around, and Indecision now is just, oh my goodness, like, that is just such a big play right here from Zapdo, just to completely screw over this Wukong jungle. Yeah, he's not very happy about this one at all now, and he might go for a little bit of a tilted rage re-invade, and he might get in trouble for it as well.
I mean, lucky for him, Omen, who was a little bit slow on his recall, did have that teleport, so he just made his way in, but looks like they might be setting this one up. The lockdown, the knockups are available. Indecision's trying to dash out, but he's caught by the knockup. Flashed in. The charm connects from Omen. NB carry does flash forward. Gets 1E. Looking for the Q. Indecision needs to get it cloned up. Not going to happen in time. First blood gifted over. Omen able to flash away to safety. But Ruddy, they found that first kill.
Yeah, and it's just Zapdo with the masterclass in jungling, right? You see, he skipped that initial Gromp and Wolves, and he managed to go invade. And just like you said, Foxtrot, that was a frustrated Wraith camp there. You can see he tried to do something topside, but all he could come up with was clearing a ward. And now we highlighted how important it was to make sure that you get to Divine Sunder on Wukong, but you're really far behind now. You've died, you've missed out on several camps, and now you can only play for this respawning Krug.
And Yasuo has a kill. Like, this mid lane is very volatile, and you've given the advantage over to Yasuo. Absolutely beautiful stuff. Like, honestly, Zapdo, that was such good pathing. And the fact that not only was he able to get those 2 camps, which I've already ushed about from him, which was really smart, baited Indecision into that rage invade, which got him killed. But you know, Zapdo read it. He knew exactly what Indecision was going to do. He did not go, as you mentioned, Aragon, to that Grump, to that wolf camp. He went straight to the chickens, knowing that, you know, Wukong is on the top side of the map. He's not got any of his top side camps. What's he going to do? He's going to try and salvage something out of this situation. It's a horrible situation for him to be in. He might go for a little bit of a desperation play, which is what he did. And just beautifully read, though, from Zapdo. Like, a great start right here, and getting that early kill. We'll have to see now how Ruddy can leverage that from that mid lane and try and get some plays. Already got that first dragon, so that's really good. I expect something to happen around this Herald as well. See if we can really snowball that lead from mid.
Yeah, and looking into the Herald now, you've got it spawning very, very soon, right? Who's got the stronger ultimates post-level 6, you know? I'm seeing some really, really strong ultimates, including the Yasuo and the Mordekaiser. You can just ult away the enemy jungler and then have your jungler smite the Rift Herald, you know, for free. So I definitely do think Ruddy, it's favorable for them to start this Rift Herald. And you could see that Pui is actually moving through mid now to potentially hit level 6 on the mid wave and then group up at that Rift Herald.
Well, it does look like that might be the game plan, as Seneca also moving up towards that top side. They're taking the long walk over, so they're going to be a little bit slower to the punch. As Envy Carry just trying to get some control of this mid lane. Omen, though, is able to do a pretty quick job with that one and deal with it. So Envy Carry has got his knock-up charged, and Omen being slowly but surely spotted out. Nord moving over, getting himself control of the area, but all while this is going on, Seneca still hasn't joined in for the setup for this area, so they're just going to be able to wrestle their way forward from the side of Ruddy here, put the wards down, and just gain control of the area. And it feels like Nord, they did have that kind of foothold in the area, but they just decided to give up that Rift Herald, and instead are going to try and play to shove this wave in on the bot side. But there's nothing for them to take.
Yeah, no, it's really rough, right? Because normally you want to cross-map that Rift Herald and take plates, potentially. But Toaster, he's just on Ezreal. There's no dive threat. They would have had to decide this before even, like, considering if they wanted to move to the Rift Herald. But it looks like they were split in terms of decision, right? They had indecision, you could say. They wanted to go... I hate that. They wanted to go to Rift Herald, but then they realized, we can't contest it. It's just too difficult. And then halfway through it, they had Seneca actually path back and bot side. And it's a real error in planning, in my opinion.
This is it. We kind of come back to draft here when we saw the Rakan pick. Such a good roaming champion, such a good playmaking champion. One of the more popular supports across all regions of League of Legends esports right now, like China, Korea, even in EU and NA. Like everyone loves picking Rakan because he's just got so many different options available to him. And when you have this passive laner in Ezreal, it really does unlock the lane for you. But here comes this dive.
They got the lockdown. They've got the follow-up. There goes Envy Carry. Nice and easy. Omen's able to dash away. They catch onto one, but Indecision's going to be A-okay. Lovely play there by Nord.
Yeah, no, and you can see this is exactly what we're talking about from the start, right? The gank ability of mid lane. You're playing Yasuo, one of the most gank susceptible champions in the game. There's a reason there's this whole meme about him dying 10 times before he hits his power spike. This can happen, and really nice move up from Seneca. You know, that move down bot side to push in, like you were saying, Hipbrain. They push in bot lane, and they use that prior to move to mid lane, flank, and dive. It's really nice.
It wasn't the Rakan that I was talking about. Completely disregarding the Nautilus on the other side. Another great roaming playmaking champion. Just press R on Yasuo, and there's really no counterplay there. And the only way Ruddy can avoid that is to either have information of it happening before it happens, or just to have someone hovering around. But all in all, that was just very, very smart from Nord, and they didn't even really lose anything as well on the bot side. Like Xayah wasn't dove, or too much wasn't taken away from her either. So great timing right there to kind of claw something back in this one, as it was looking a little bit rough, losing that first kill, that first blood, and then 2 objectives as well. Yep. As we're going to get a cheeky little pause here. I'm not sure what this one's about, but hopefully it will get resolved pretty quickly, and or just come back to us. That's good too, and we'll talk you through what's happened so far. It's been a bit of an intense 10-15 minutes of this game right here, and I do think, Aragon, you mentioned about how this one would play out with a lot of volatility around the mid lane, right? A lot of stuff can potentially happen in that mid lane, and it has happened in that mid lane. We've seen a lot of stuff happen. We got the first blood in mid, we got that dive in mid as well. Zapdo with the masterclass in the early game on that jungling too. But I'm curious now at this point, where does it go from here? Are you still just brute forcing through that mid lane, or are you perhaps trying something in the bot side, or is it just going to be the game of mid?
So what I really like is the fact that Ruddy have actually taken the dragon before the Rift Herald to not allow for a cross map onto the dragon from the side of Nord, and then they took Rift Herald, and what they're doing is they're mismatching the timers of the spawns. So now they can go to take dragon again, and Nord can't take a Rift Herald on the other side. So they're just going to be able to take every single neutral objective, and you can see it spawns in a minute 30. Well, everyone's moving down there. You see there are pings coming down to get vision maybe on this dragon beforehand, to take control of that river, go through mid as well. I expect a full-blown neutral fight, or potentially, if Nord aren't comfortable with it, they just try to make it play topside. But then the ultimate, you are hyping up this Mordekaiser. How can you gank a Mordekaiser? He just takes it and makes forces a 1v1. So I do feel like Nord either just have to sack it and play for third dragon, or there's no other option, actually. There's just no other option. They have to potentially sack it.
Well, it's only the second dragon. It does mean from now on they have to kind of force everything if they don't feel comfortable to go for it. But they are at the position now where it does feel like Seneca can just rotate out of this bot lane because Hido's got the Ghost, got the Flash, but most crucially got the Featherstorm. So has that kind of safety net in their kit where, you know, it's quite hard to dive a Xayah unless you bring lots of people to catch onto them and you play incredibly intelligent around that Featherstorm. But it does mean that, you know, they just have that added layer of safety for Nord. Which does mean, as you can see, Seneca's now just going to rotate around with Indecision, get as much control around this dragon area as possible. Hido's fresh off a reset and has a Kraken Slayer ready. So if Nord want to fight this, they're feeling pretty good to do so. Omen's got teleport as well if they did ever have to go for a reset just before the dragon. It might be a little bit too late now to do that, but they did have that as an open option as well. And mid shove. This feels like this might actually be Nord's opening if they want to take this dragon and contest.
They have to do it before Toaster gets his reset as well. Like, he's very, very close to that Triforce. I don't know how much gold he actually has yet, but this is advantage Hido as far as power spikes go, right? So Nord might decide to go for this one, and exactly as you mentioned, Aragon, because of the staggered respawn timers, there's not anything for Nord to cross-map, really. With Shihan coming down as well, I just think Nord gives this one up. They don't bother with it. I can't imagine they contest this one, and Kakos comes in for the TP. Instead, it should just be those plates in that top side. It might even get some... Ruddy be able to get some plates there from mid as well with that Shelly. So close to getting an extra one. So close, but not quite going to have it. It's going to be that dragon taken away. Hido's actually getting a little bit feisty in this, but it should just be a disengage. Easy as you like. 2 plates were taken in top side, but it's a Poppy. It's a Poppy taking it. It's not like you got one of those carries in the top side that can snowball with generating gold and stuff. So all in all, really, really good stuff for Ruddy still, snowballing that advantage.
Yeah, I really like what Sheehan actually did there. He shifted down to mid to cover off this dragonflight. You see this a lot in the LPL, right? Top laners just, if they're in a tank v tank matchup, who cares about giving a tank extra plates on the cross map? Like, great, you're going to hit your Sunfire or Ajaccio earlier, right? It doesn't really change the outcome of the game, whereas a shift down to mid lane to potentially secure that dragon will, right? You guarantee that soul point fight in the next 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and that really accelerates the game. And you see, will Kakos' early Ajaccio really out-impact that? No, not really. So what happens often in the LPL is both top laners actually shift down and match each other rather than cross-map those plates.
Absolutely. It was a good play there. I mean, like you said, Kagos did at least get those plates, but not the biggest deal in the world for the side of Ruddy to really give that over. They didn't actually get any plates from Hido because he was a bit nervous about overextending for a plate and then just getting collapsed on from the team doing the dragon. So they didn't really get any additional gold injected into their AD carry. He has still got that Kraken Slayer, has just been back to base and got himself double longsword and is now moving over towards the mid side of the map while Omen is going to rotate towards the bot. The big thing right now is the teleport advantage that Nord have. They've got double teleports, both of which are up. So when this Rift Herald spawns up, they can look to play around that area if they want to and kind of enable themselves to take these fights where they can have pressure in all of the side lanes and then ping down when they need to with that teleport.
Yeah, it's exactly that, because you can stick your mid laner and bot if you're Nord, because he has TP, and then envy carry has to match it. Yasuo has to come bot to stop you just taking this tower for free. But then you'll get the first move because you've got TP. It's as simple as that. It's really, really, really nice advantage using this double TP to try and get some just to make a little bit of extra tempo on the map.
Damage.
As it looks as though Seneca's taking a decent chunk here. As instead, I think Nord has a slight window, but it's still going to be a little bit difficult. Toaster has just on this recall finished that Triforce. Like, it's fresh, it's squeaky clean, and it's doing a lot of damage. But Nord have started it up here, and I'm not convinced that Ruddy, they're just going to leave this one. They're going to let it go, instead looking for a potential play on the bot side. This is their version of the cross map, but this time around it's Ruddy who's not going to be able to find anything on the other side. I think this is a little bit of a mistake from them. Like, I think they were in position to be able to take this Herald. Like, I think it was relatively free for these guys if they were maybe a little bit quicker on the trigger of moving the Yasuo up here. I think they still win this 5v5. But they're just going to lose it. They're going to give it up, and instead it's Nord coming away with their first objective of the game, pocketing that Rift Herald.
Yeah, I would have really liked them to actually contest this Rift Herald and use it to secure third dragon like they did before, but we might have to hold that thought as Zapto gets engaged on. He has Aftershock.
Missed the charm, though, there from Omen, and the red buff blocking Seneca from landing the Q. honestly, a bit of a waste there from Omen, not able to really pick anything up. They also use Seneca's ultimate, and Omen has not been able to catch any farm because he's been so terrified of getting dove because he didn't have information on Ruddy on the bottom side of the map. And Ruddy, they've been able to rotate everybody into this side. They're going to look for a potential dive. The wave does get flattened out here. Indecision pings away. Envy carry wastes his ult on the wrong target. Oh no! Tragic. He's caught. He can't get away. They might just be able to try and finish him up here. Puts the wind wall down. He gets chunked out as Omen looks for maybe that charm opportunities. The feathers do come out from Hiddo. It gets a whole bunch of damage down onto Pui, but Pui able to move away to safety. And Ruddy, that got a little bit dicey for them for a second.
Yeah. A series of unfortunate events for Envy Carry as he ults the clone into failing the wall hop with the golem. It's just absolutely rough, but it might not even matter as he picks off Omen.
Oh, redemption for Envy Carry there with that slightly suboptimal play before. Even gets Omen's flash out of that one, a face planting flash into the wall. Okay, there we go. All's forgiven for him right there. It was just a bait. He wanted to use his ulti suboptimally for two reasons. Firstly, it baits Nord into thinking he's terrible, and so they might disrespect him and then walk into him just like that. And secondly, now since Nord knew his ultimate was down, they thought again, he's not too much threat here, right? We can walk a little bit greedily, and look what happened. Just playing right into Envy Carry's hands. Just beautiful stuff right there. Really, really sublime League of Legends and 4D chess coming through from the mid lane of Ruddy.
So, Dragon spawning up next. Summon a check, right? Rift Trail gets spawned. They want to use this for Prio to get into the river first. I doubt this will even get a charge off. It might get a charge off, to be fair. Zaptor might be able to smite it, but even still. The engage coming down.
Yeah, they're going to throw everything forward, actually. That's already going to be Hiddo dead. They've lost their carry. Omen isn't even in the area. They land a hook onto Envy Carry, but he's not even in tower range. No real follow-up. This tower might actually fall down in response as they jump in, going to knock off to multiple people. Pui catches the charm down onto Omen, though, in the meanwhile, as now Omen has to jump away to safety, and Ruddy are just walking through this fight. It's not even close. Not just crumpled.
It was it started with that really, really simple catch onto Hiddo, and the problem was for Hiddo in that play happened, like, Omen's out of it as well. He's done so. That's 4 kills now. 4 kills in total to Ruddy, plus that Dragon's going to go down too. Like, this is just absolute disaster here for Nord, who were kind of stabilizing a little bit. Unfortunately, we saw this kind of little scuffle happen in the bot side, but we were actually kind of criticizing Ruddy for how they sort of misplayed it a little bit. But what did happen was in the rotation from bot to mid, Hiddo got a little bit quiet and had to flash ult, right? He used those, which was completely unnecessary. Like, he knew exactly where Ruddy were. They were in that bot jungle, and he just overstepped a little bit. And when that happened, like, individually, in a vacuum, in that moment, it wasn't a big deal, but he didn't have it up for that fight right there. And what happened? Maokai comes in, he roots the Xayah, and there's no counterplay. You don't have flash, you don't have Featherstorm. It's gone. You're dead. And when that happened, you know, Nord got a little bit caught out trying to save the ADC, and it just wasn't a good situation, and they lost so much from that one. And I'll say now, this is like the big first significant lead now that Ruddy are in this game, and they're already on Soul Point 19 minutes in. It's looking very tough right here for Nord.
Yeah, and you can see what the play they're trying to make is mid into top while sacrificing bot waves to hopefully find a Fitzer with a move up from Kakos as well. But he's on a timer, right? You're waiting for Shihan to just potentially hit that tower, bonk that tower. So he's got to move back down. What they wanted to do was potentially make a play onto Envy Carry on that Yasuo, get his bounty under top side, whilst having mid pushed in as well, so that no one can help defend him. But the play didn't manage to work out. They couldn't find the pick, and now they're just back to a neutral wave state. You could see they're potentially cheesing. Indecision and Omen are in like the alcove. Maybe if Envy Carry walks up, they can see him. But I think pings went down, and they've spotted out Omen and Indecision.
I don't know. Envy Carry stepping up forwards here. They're going to jump in. They're going to throw everything onto him. Charm's connected. Wind wall was beautifully placed just to block one dash, but that's not going to be enough. Shutdown for Indecision. And that's the play finally paying dividends here for the side of Nord. So they get the shutdown. You'd rather it on your Ari, but Indecision getting it is at least something.
That's the question now, right? Is like, this has happened, right? Envy Carry's dead. You got the shutdown. That's great. What do you do from this? You know, how does this benefit you in the long run trying to make this comeback into the game? Like, getting some gold onto Wukong, it's not terrible, all things considered. It's not terrible when you consider the context of the game, how someone like Yasuo is actually really slippery for most people, when you consider the wind wall, right, will really block off Ahri's damage or really block off Xayah's damage. But Wukong, there's no counterplay to Wukong jumping on you, smacking you around with his pole, spinning you up. Like, it's just actually, ironically, maybe even good to give some gold to the Wukong, since he will be one of the better answers to Yasuo. Having said that, you know, really, at the end of the day, you're going to need some more, right? But it's something. It's something to just kind of break the momentum a little bit for Ruddy, break the tempo as well, get that side lane in a bit of a better spot. But Ruddy now, you know, I'm talking about breaking the momentum and slowing them down. They're just starting up the Baron. They're looking to go for it. It's dying pretty fast, but Nord are around. They know this is happening, and they're not going to let it go for free.
Yeah, they're going to bring him in. They've got that Poppy to be able to kind of buy space. Here comes the hammer, knocking them away. They have the man advantage. 2 people knocked out. Pui is going low. Pui not down yet, though. Windwall blocked away on a couple of those auto attacks as the true shot barrage rips through Hido's health. It almost gets caught. Good flash away to safety. Omen got a couple of charges left on that ultimate. They're going back to Baron, back to business. Now that the Poppy R's down, they feel comfortable to contest this even further. Indecision does have smite, does have the invisibility, knocking and dodging away. Pui looking for an opportunity to try and play that interrupt. In they go. Kakos puts down the steadfast presence, is buying space. Baron has been secured for the side of Ruddy. In comes the helicopter from Indecision, and Xinyan shuts him down for slam from the hammer. Zapdo chasing forwards on the Seneca, and Seneca being run down. Pui gets the knock up. Good little bop back, and the Leandri's burn just does enough so that the kill can be secured, as Zapdo chasing now onto Omen. Omen, no flash available. He's going down. Envy carry secures that kill, and Ruddy just get another W.
Beautifully played there from Ruddy for the Baron fight. Even though they didn't get a single kill in that first exchange, they may as well have brought down Hido, because he was so low and Ruddy knew it, that he may as well be dead, right? If you're on 10% health as the ADC, you have to recall. You have to get out of there. And if you don't recall, you're certainly not going to be contributing anything to a team fight. So it is a 4v5 at that point, and Ruddy knew it. And Ruddy having a lot of Baron damage, you know, you can see with a mid laner like Yasuo, even top laners like Mordekaiser. Like, if you compare the Nash damage from both these sides, if we were a role reverse here and it was Nord who was ahead and Nord had won that fight, they probably don't go back to it just because they can't burn down Baron that fast. But with the threat of it dying so quickly, Ruddy knew that they could burn it down, they could get that play going, and then put Mordekaiser in Nord in a difficult position there, where they have to decide, you know, are we going to try and contest this one? And ultimately, as you see, they can't, and that Mordekaiser ulti really just making it quite literally impossible. Even Saint Vicious could secure that Baron on that play right there. When you take away the jungler in the Mordekaiser ulti, like, it's just, it's really tragic. And this is going to be Dragon Soul if Ruddy can get it. This has to be Nord's last hope, largest effort to try and save this game. 5,000 health from the Dragon. Here comes the fight.
Oh, goes in for the reset. True shot barrage hits onto Hido, but Hido this time is untouched. Omen on the flank catches himself onto Toaster as Hido is slowly but surely being run through, putting out the damage. He's just hiding and playing on the edge as Xinyan comes in. Hido has no summoners, throws down the Featherstorm, gets the reset with the E, but that is going to be him taken out by Toaster, and it's only Indecision standing. An ace for the side of Ruddy, a quadra kill for Toaster, and Soul over to the side of Ruddy.
And it's an absolute valiant effort from the side of Nord, trying to make that work. You can see how the fight didn't start ideally, though. Kakos could not get the ultimate to knock away anyone, and in the end, he only gets a little knock-up. But you can see how tanky he is because of those passive resistances. And then Hido trying his best towards the end of that fight, but it just is not enough to overcome that monumental gold lead after he doesn't have Ghost and Flash from the previous fight. It's just too hard to outplay.
Really, really good stuff there from Ruddy. Beautifully played. That is going to be the Soul as well. And to be honest, like, Mountain Soul, I think is one of the better Souls when it comes, especially to competitive play. One of the biggest things about Mountain Soul is how it makes it obviously harder for you to kill people, or it makes it harder for you to get killed. You know what I'm trying to say. And the thing is, like, when you're behind from Nord's perspective here, you're just trying to look for picks and stuff like that, maybe with the Ahri, with the Nautilus, with Wukong jumping out as well. This massive boost in resistances that you have and this huge shield as well makes that so much harder to do. Like, now it's just even harder for Ruddy to throw this game. Having said that, Pui's trying his hardest. He is going to get caught. He's going to try and jump away, but it's not going to happen. He's
That
getting
took
forward
ages
down
to kill
there.
the support, by the way.
It-
That
he
was a
al-
lot of time to kill a support. Imagine if I was
Honestly,
Xinyan. He just would have walked
If he had
away.
like 100 more health, if he had like 100 more health, he could have jumped a toaster over the wall. Like, he
Yeah.
actually genuinely nearly survived that right there. But it is still a good pick up there for
Oh!
Norton. Just little bits like that will help him get back into it.
Seneca, he just walked over the blue circle and got the blue buff.
Classic. This is something we see a lot, by the way. If you watch Rakan players, like globally, they will always think they're safer than they are just because they have so much mobility. They call themselves like the best warding support because they can always like W out, E out, but they always end up inting, face checking bushes because they think they're so much slipperier than they are. It's really funny to watch actually in pro play. Does look like Nord are going to head up to top side, maybe try and secure this objective bounty, try to come back in any way they can. But like you said, this Mountain Soul has another effect, right? Their whole composition is predicated on one-shotting that first target with the combination of Wukong Ahri. If you can't do that because they're too tanky, then your whole composition just falls apart and you rely on Hiddo to DPS through these amounts of resistances. So then you just have Hiddo as a threat. So it's all on Hiddo. Again, we've built him up as this really big carry and he's got to show it to us.
I think it's what
Let's-
this... Go on, Foxy.
Sorry, I was going to say we'll play devil's advocate, right, to try and see how Nord can like get back into it, because I think it's a really good point how we're like painting this like doom scenario for Nord right here with just how far ahead Ruddy is and the things like this Mountain Soul making it harder. But if you look at the mini map, there's no towers are being taken right here from Nord, right? 0 towers are being taken, but you've got those objective bounties, and all of those outer towers are low on health, right? If you can, you've got to pick comp. If you can maybe just find someone out of position here, maybe grab a cheek hit or shut down. If you're able to even just take one of those towers, that's a lot of gold coming through to you on your team. Like, there are avenues. There's gold just standing here on the map for you to take down if you want to try and close this gold lead here and find your way back into it. Like, there are resources, right? Like, you do have some kind of like gold banks sitting here for you to take. The difficulty being, obviously, they're not that easy to take. They're very hard for you to bring down, hence they haven't been able to get one in 30 minutes of game time so far. But it's potentially something if they want to try and make a comeback into this game. There's an avenue there with those.
Yeah, and it's just been an absolute one-sided game, hasn't it? Starting from Zapdo's initial clear, it just feels like they've snowballed that tiny lead into every single neutral objective, every single team fight win with the early setups and everything. Kakos might just be engaged on here, but the W does save him. But still, I just want to reiterate, how good does Ruddy look? Like, really?
Yeah, I mean, they look really, really solid right now. They did get an objective bounty thanks to the minions there for the side of Nord, so it's a little bit of a cash injection. Hiddo's now 3 items in, did just reset, pick up some of that armor pen. Maybe to help kind of just trip through some of this additional resistances they're getting from Soul. Baron's coming in. Here comes the hammer. Misses onto everybody, and this could be bad. Omen's coming in on the flank as they're trying to get the damage off. As Hiddo hasn't been caught quite yet. Baron secured once again for Ruddy. It's the second of the game. Knockup's coming in from Indecision, but it's a little bit too little. It's a little bit too late as P locks everybody in place. Hiddo has lost his team. Kakos can do nothing but watch as he will be falling. Flashes away, uses that zap, but the slows are chasing him down. If he can get an E, maybe he can find the damage, but the shield from the W on Xinyan is too much as Ruddy, with Baron in pocket, now should be able to push forward and take this game.
Yeah, and honestly, I have to take back what I said. The Mordekaiser had an immense value into this engage from Wukong, multiple times denying the ability to smite from Indecision. I will concede I was completely wrong. Well done, Xian, for the 5-head pick.
It's been so useful this game, but it also helps when you're playing from a position of strength, right? When you're ahead, like he's not had to do the proactive things. He's just denied Nord from doing their stuff as well. Like it's been very useful here. That fight, honestly though, Nord didn't do too poorly in that fight. Like there were two. I think both Mordekaiser and Rakan were low enough that if Mountain Soul wasn't a thing, they would have died. Toaster did fall, and it was a really good outplay by Omen. Like, it was quite a sexy 1v1 actually between those two.
The cute
quite
flash.
flashy. Yeah. It was really nice. It was good, but just not quite enough. When you just honest, that was just one of those situations where Ruddy beat Nord with their wallet, right, and a little bit of Dragon Soul as well. It just wasn't working out for them when they found themselves a little bit too far behind in this one. But now Nord They may have struggled and failed against the Baron fight, but now they've got another fight coming through here on that Elder Dragon. So Omen's burst like all of his ultis trying to catch someone mid, and they found Toaster. Toaster is dead. This is now 4v5 without the ADC here. Ruddy are in trouble.
Yeah, they're chasing onto Zapdos as much as possible. The wind wall goes up, though. That's absolutely huge. They're going to be blocking everything that they do put down. There's the Feather Storm. They're going to try and pull them back, try and get as much damage off as possible as they have turned this fight around for now. Nord are in danger. Kakos just about avoiding away from this. Has no ultimate. Healing up on the Honey Fruit as P chases forwards. Omen needs to look for the perfect charm. Misses it regardless. Kakos with a steadfast presence, getting a bit of movement speed off, trying to get away, but Envy Carry chasing him with the charms, chasing him with the follow-up as down goes Omen. This should be the follow-up as well, on to Indecision as they fall. Kakos not even going to give the kill over, as actually he's able to survive for just a little bit longer. That should be Elder Soul secured, as Kakos just buying some time, but staggering his own death, not going to be good for him. Nord, I think this game's a little bit over.
Gosh, you could just see the value of MV Carry's Yasuo there. The wind wall blocking in that choke right next to the Dragon Pit. Wind wall blocking all the feathers coming down. So despite it being a 4 versus 5 with Toaster picked, I didn't even see Toaster get picked, right? Despite him being dead, it doesn't matter. MV Carry is just too big, has too big of a wallet, like you said, and they managed to 4 versus 5 to skill this Elder. And you got to think, that's probably game right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
This
This is going to be so hard.
Yeah.
At 4 Dragon, Elder Soul, it's it's very tough. Like if Nord can't win a fight versus Ruddy when Toaster is dead without the ADC in a 4v5, now that it's, and that felt like your opportunity, right? That felt like your chance to get back into this game. It's not happened here, and it's gonna be so tough to try and find that fight. If you're Ruddy, it should be simple enough to just run it down. You don't even necessarily need to do this tutorial style. You don't have to go through all the lanes and push it down. I guess your Nash isn't around anymore, so maybe Nord will be able to wave clear a bit better. But Ruddy have such an advantage here with this mid lane being pretty much naked as well. With that Elder coming through too, it might just be looking at the closing moments of this game right here.
It's honestly on Kakos as well, I feel, because he has not hit the last 2 of his ultimates at all. And that's just always given Ruddy just the power where the Poppy hasn't broken the fight up, and they're just able to run them through. And now with Elder, these fights should look even more convincing, even more easily won, as in comes the lockdown onto the members. The first tower is going to fall. Ruddy aren't even focused on the fight right now. Indecision jumps in, tries to get the damage off. They do finish up Zapdo immediately. The Feather Storm's going to get thrown out. Pretty low HP, but Shinyan just got Hiddo in the zone. Down he goes. Omen trying desperately to find the resets on his ultimate, unable to do so. The execute comes in from Toaster, and the base is going to fall. 33 minutes on the clock, and Ruddy take game 1 of the day.
It's just absolutely brutal.